Commence primary ignition.
Welcome to the Reforming Nerddom Star Wars Skeleton Crew Aftershow with your hosts, Jordan and Ben.
We'll make a partnership.
Whoa, where'd you two find an old Republic credit?
A crew of murderous pirates is coming.
Be warned of booby traps.
Welcome back to the Star Wars Skeleton Crew After Show. Today we're looking at Episode 3, Coming of Age, directed by David Lowery, written by Christopher Ford and John Watts. We thank you all listeners for coming back after listening to us stumble through Episodes 1 and 2, but we do have some thoughts on Episode 3 for sure. But also a couple things that we maybe forgot to mention or just missed from episodes 1 and 2. So first, before we get into that, I want to say welcome. We are Reforming Nerddom. I am Ben. This is Jordan here with me. Jordan, how you doing?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay after staying up late. One of my complaints that I just thought of last night while I was getting ready to watch episode 3 was, if this is supposed to be a Star Wars show, generally speaking, like geared towards kids, why are they releasing it at 9 p.m. Eastern?
I know. I was thinking the same thing. It's a strange time because kids are not watching it at that time. Now they can tune in the next day, but yeah, I thought the same
the
thing.
whole point of these streaming shows is to like bring back of like not just dropping the whole season, right? Because the whole season's ready to drop,
Yep.
right? They could release it if they wanted to. So it's like the reason they're doing the week by week thing is to like get the old TV feel back of like it's an event, it's something you have to tune into. So it's like if this is something that kids are supposed to tune into, release it at a time that kids can tune into it. Like that just seems weird.
How do you feel about the staggered release? Do you like it in contrast to their single dump?
I actually do. I do personally, and I 100% can see why like Disney Plus or Netflix or whatever would also prefer it that way. Because I mean, like, I'm just a sinful human being that through my gluttony would obviously just consume all 8 episodes in a single night and stay up far too late and eat far too much popcorn and hate myself the next morning. So I kind of like the experience of, having the week by week release, having stuff to talk about, speculating. Like I think especially for like a Star Wars show in particular, I like that. I like having some time for it to breathe and for the internet to be full of ridiculous speculations and all that kind of stuff.
I think that is the exact reason why these type of releases are better, is because it's opened up an entire industry of the speculation videos, the reviews, the what ifs. Without it, you would never have it. And I think that's like, we probably think like the Marvel movies largely for that, like the staggered releases.
Yeah.
And like the one thing I like about this type of a release as well is it's like forced like delayed gratification, where we don't have it in like anything else. Like even because I long for the days, and I actually wish that it would kind of come back. I don't, it never will, but the going to the Blockbuster on a Friday and picking a movie and having to actually like go and do all those things. And so now it's like, oh, you can just watch the movie instantly on any device whenever you want. There's nothing stopping you. But now it's like you cannot. Like it doesn't matter how badly you want to watch the other things. Like you can't be gratified immediately. You have to wait. And I don't know. There's something about that I find satisfying in watching these things.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. So a couple things I wanted to mention from the episode 1 and 2 drop from last week was first, how on earth did we forget to mention that Steve Urkel is a space pirate? Did you notice Urkel?
I haven't even heard anybody mention that. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Jaleel White. the black guy that's like the right. He's got like the bionic eye thing. That's Steve Urkel.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you just pick up on that, or did you
No,
read that?
yeah. I mean, and like I have seen it, but I definitely did pick up on it. When I had it even in my notes to talk about last week, but we just.
So I want to give you some credit because I don't think I've seen anybody else pick up on SM33 being Smee.
Oh, really? No, I have seen a couple.
Have you? I haven't
mention it.
Okay, because in any of the articles I've read, I haven't seen.
I was like really looking for pirate.
Yeah. Okay.
Things,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely have seen other people say that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to give the shout out to to my TGI Friday days of Family Matters, and wanted to point out that Steve Urkel is now a Star Wars space pirate.
There you go.
But the other thing I wanted to mention, just in terms of like news of what's been going on since the episode 1 and 2 drop, is that while we've got a like incredibly high Rotten Tomatoes score or whatever metric you want to use, like it's all been very positive for episode 1 and 2, like 95% Rotten Tomatoes score. At the same time as that, didn't even make the top 20 in most viewed streaming shows for last week.
What?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
What does it say? What people?
I've got the top 10 here.
Yeah. What were people watching?
Top 10. So you've got The Madness on Netflix as number 1.
Don't even know what that is.
Me neither. Landman on Paramount
I've heard of
Plus,
that.
number 2.
Yeah.
The Cold Case: Who Killed John Benet Ramsey. Lioness, Paramount Plus. A Man on the Inside, Netflix. Cross on Prime Video. Tulsa King, Paramount Plus.
Yeah, that's popular. Yeah.
A different episode. So Lioness season 1 and season 2 are on here separately. The Later Daters on Netflix is 9, and then The Day of the Jackal, which is one of the only ones I've actually recognized here, is number 10.
It makes you wonder if the impact that on Disney's wokeness is being felt now, because like even though the critics are going to watch it because they're going to watch anything that Disney puts out, but the numbers don't lie. I
think this is
people are watching. Yeah,
this is Acolyte fallout.
Because if a show that is this good for a property that is as popular on Disney Plus is not in the top 10 on its launch week,
not even top 20,
not even top 20, and it's actually really good. I think that is just evidence that people have pieced out, and that's crazy, because this show is the best Star Wars show they've put out, at least in the last couple of years, because Andor was like what, at least a year, maybe closer to 2 years
ago, probably at least like a year and a half.
So it's been a while. So wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so that surprised me a fair bit. Yeah, for sure. So before we get into some of our thoughts, positive, negative, all that, you want to give us the quick plot summary for episode 3, Coming of Age? Have you ever opened your internet browser in search of quality Christian books, only to find yourself wading through page after page of Joel Osteen books, Nerf guns, and tacky wall art? Thousand Generations Print Company is here to save the day. With a unique, family-owned approach, quick 24-hour processing, a commitment to providing heretic-free literature, and real human customer service, they focus on offering books that not only enlighten but align with Orthodox Christian teachings. And, being conveniently located in southern Ontario, there's no more need to sell your left kidney to pay for shipping within Canada. Visit at actuallychristianbooks.com. Again, that's actuallychristianbooks.com. And order yourself anything from Haunted Cosmos to Sir Battle-Lot and use promo code NERDDOM, that's NERDOM, all caps, and receive 10% off your next order. Thousand Generations Print Company, books for building, books for battling, for 1,000 generations.
Yeah, so episode 3 we pick up with the kids. They are on the brig, the pirate port. and they're escaping with Jod Nana Wood, Jude Law, which we do find out he is in fact Captain Silvo. No big surprise there. That's what we were expecting.
Yeah.
And they actually get out of the brig. They get back to the spaceship, the one that they found on At-Aten, and but before they leave, Jod, he wants to get going right away. Pardon me. And but the kids refuse to do that without leaving or without bringing with them SM-33. So then because he obviously wants to go with the kids to get off the island, and he knows of At-Aten at this point, he ends up going back and getting SM-33 and bringing him back to the ship, and then they take off in what is actually a pretty good kind of not really a space battle, but they're attached to a fuel line, and the actual CGI was I would say surprisingly good there, where they eventually escape, and Jod takes the kids to an ice moon or something like that, just a moon, to speak with an old acquaintance of his whose name is Kim, and she's known for being able to chart, or has charted, all the galaxies and all the stars and all the worlds, and they're trying to find At-Aten, and it's discovered when they're with Kim that At-Aten is actually a hidden planet, one of many, some of which had been destroyed, but they were what they called jewels of the old republic. And they find this out, and they then, knowing this, their Jod is wanting to escape, to get going, to get to At-Aten, but they're confronted with some X-Wings who come to capture Jod, who goes by another name, which was Crimson Jack, which there's no real explanation as to what that
got a little
means.
something on Crimson Jack
You do? Okay.
later, yeah, for
Okay.
period of time.
So then they get back on the ship, and they take off, and it is then admitted by Jod before they leave that he is not in fact a Jedi, which he was kind of alluding to, or at least not being super clear about that with the kids. They assume that he was because of his force manipulation abilities, but it's then where it is established by KB, who is one of the young girls, that Jod works for them. He's trying to dictate to them what they're going to do, but it is established that no, they work, or they are the leaders, and he is working for them. And then at that point, they escape into hyperspace, and the kids are still trying to find their way home. Throughout the episode, we get a little bit of a insight into what the parents are doing as they're waiting or trying to find where their kids went, but we'll get into that a little bit more as we work through the episode. But then it ends there.
Perfect. All right, so let's start with I think we all know what our one big negative gripe is going to be, so let's start with positives. Maybe just go back and forth. So I want to start with my first positive is I do think this show, and then this episode in particular, does play on the innocence of the kids really well, and like does a good job of making you feel like the kids are a good avatar for yourself as the viewer, right? Like the moment where I felt it the most was when they're escaping from the X-Wings, and he pulls the gunner thing down for Wim, and just like the huge smile on Wim's face when he's just like, seriously, I get to go sit in the gunner's seat, like, and that's just the kid in me is like remembering watching A New Hope and like imagining being Luke sitting in the gunner's seat of the Falcon when they're being chased by the TIE fighters. Is just like, yeah, that would have been that's what my face would have looked like too. So I think they do a good job of that. And again, and like I say, the kids being like the viewer's avatar, like the kids, like when they're escaping the jail, they even ask some of the questions that were going through my mind as they were escaping, right? Where I'm like, okay, so you're escaping, but why? if you were able to grab that key whenever you wanted, why are you waiting till now when we're here? Right. And then like as I was thinking that in my mind, one of the kids out loud in the show like asks that very same question. So I thought they did a good job with that.
Yeah, and I think one thing I'm happy about is the kids are still enjoyable. Like the characters are actually, I'm finding myself enjoying listening to them. Like their banter, the girls, like Wim being this, like you said, just absolutely kind of starstruck at the possibility of being with a Jedi. It's like that is absolutely how I would be. It's like, wait, what, you're a Jedi? And just like he so desperately wants him to be a Jedi. It's like,
Wants it to be real. So
yeah, and so I thought that was really cool, and just I think the kids are different and working well together. So yeah, I found that they're enjoyable. I think for me, one of the things that I've liked is, and like with any good story, they've made the mystery around Atten like compelling. Like I'm actually genuinely curious as a fan of Star Wars. It's like, yeah, what is this planet? What are they doing? Like, why is it that they like lost planet? Why? Like, what actually happened there? So, yeah, I'm happy that it's got a good hook in it right now, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you got me. Like, I actually I want to know.
a good like each episode so far, except maybe I mean episode 2 was a little different. It was super short.
Yeah,
It didn't have a ton of meat on the bone, but like episode 1 and episode 3 both had like their own internal storyline, but then they've done a good job of having this broader storyline of like what is Atten, like what's going on there. There's like something big and or sinister happening there that we need to get to the bottom of. Yeah.
Yeah. Did as I was thinking about it, was it clear in the episode? Because obviously, it is clear that Jod's motives are somehow monetarily motivated. Like he tells that guy when he's breaking SM-33 out.
I might have found my big score.
And so do you think that is because he thinks that he just knows of the treasure on Atten, or is he looking at holding the kids as a bounty for bringing them? What do you think?
I never even considered that, honestly. Like I've just kind of assumed he heard the words Atten, which every pirate knows is the mythological big score, right? It's the city of gold.
Well, and I just even think it's interesting the innocence of the kids, where there's this guy, they don't know who he is, and yet they're sleeping and just like trusting that he's not going to
slit their throats
in the night. And so it's just fun. Like even in that, you see the innocence of the kids. Where
and I do think there's almost some innocence in Jod in Jude Law, and he's playing it really well too, where he's just utterly clueless on how to interact with children.
Yeah.
Right? He's just like, they're obviously starving and he's just over there eating a bowl of oatmeal.
Yeah.
And he's just like, here, Neil, you fly the ship, and like you two kids, you go in the gunner seats. And like he just like doesn't even like realize he's dealing with, you know what I mean? Like he's just like obviously never interacted with kids before.
Which then makes you wonder if like how much of his backstory, like, are we gonna know more about who he is, where he came from? I mean, like, we know he was a pirate,
maybe, right? Like I think there's a few different ways it could be going with him for sure, and I don't know, depending on which way it is, I think we'll get more or less of that backstory.
Yeah, no, I think it's I think there seems to be a good back and forth with him and the kids. So again, it's just they've made it so that it's interesting, and it's the acting and the story, like the writing and everything seems good. Like the banter. I mean, SM-33 is still just like a gem.
So far, that might have been their biggest like home run.
Oh yeah,
that droid, like that's gonna make for some good toys.
Yeah.
It's like just a really memorable character.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Neil, right? Like the non-humans, which is like so typical of, and one of the things I think they failed at miserably in the sequel trilogy, episodes 7, 8, 9. It's like there's no memorable, other than BB-8.
Yeah.
there's no memorable non-human characters, which is like what Star Wars is known for, right? Like Chewbacca and the Cantina aliens and Jabba the Hutt, and it's just like, and then you got to episode 7, 8, and 9. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
There's,
no.
there's just not much there.
Well, there's not much to like anyways.
Well, just period. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I thought, just again, you mentioned it a little bit, just the CGI and like the escape from Borgo. I just thought the episode looked really good. I thought some of the cinematography on the moon, like the shot of them walking on the sand.
Oh, I loved it. Like that was actually
really nice looking.
that was like excellent shot where it's just like the planet in the background, walking on the moon and their silhouette. Like that was just a great shot.
Yeah, just really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's anything else you've got to say generally before? I mean, later I've got some questions about like some plot specific stuff.
Yeah, I'm just encouraged. Like I'm happy because even in light of, and I'm sure like right next we're going to talk about the thing that we didn't like, but like, well, maybe in light of any of the issues that I might have, I'm still actually excited to watch the next episode.
Are you gonna watch episode 4?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, so we get to the point where it's like the thing that people were talking about in preparation for this episode was, okay, spoilers, everybody. They're gonna introduce.
Don't get too excited.
Yeah, they're gonna introduce 2 moms. Throw it out. It's all ruined now. There's 2 moms, and it's like, first off, I just generally want to when you hear that kind of thing, it's like, okay, I don't want to overreact. I don't want to just join then the hate mob because it doesn't have. Yeah, because I think we realistically, and we have to be realistic about. Excuse me. The trajectory that we're going in, it's not going to be like the ship is not going to be corrected overnight. And so I think much like a lot of people when it comes to abolition of abortion, like, would we love it for it to be an immediate thing? Yes. Do we like the fact that it's incremental steps? No. But will we rejoice in those incremental steps as they happen, even though we would prefer it to all happen at once? Like, yes, right? We would prefer, but we'll take a win where there's a win. And so even in a show like this, so they introduce 2 moms. And I even found like, I mean, I think some would say, and I've heard some people say, oh, it's not overt. They're not pushing anything. They're just there. They just mention our daughter, and which is true. Like there's no overt message. I mean, you could say that's actually more problematic because they're trying to make it seem so normal. So I think you could see that in 2 different ways, but honestly, it could just come down to is the glass half empty or is it half full kind of thing? Because it's.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think they're in just so much of the media we consume, right? Like anyone who's not like a diehard Star Wars fan is going to look at this and say like, see, like it's not even worth watching. And then where me, like I'm a huge Star Wars fan, grew up watching everything. I've literally consumed every, actually that's not true. Up until a few years ago, I've literally consumed like every piece of Star Wars media that has ever existed. And so, yeah, I'm going to look at it more glass half full and just be like, well, I'm either watching this with gay wokeness in it or something else with gay wokeness in it.
Yeah.
That being said, this does give me pause about, okay, so what's the rest of it going to look like? Am I going to be able to show, is it just this that I can just fast forward it when I show it to my kids?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be so much and so overt and so annoying and in your face that for all the positives and goodness of the show, is it just going to be unwatchable? So, well, hopefully it's the former, but
yeah, and I think there is a big difference even for us as Christian dads with kids. There's a big difference, I think, in what they portrayed here, of just the 2 women sitting on the couch, versus even like some of the Hallmark movies now where you have 2 guys like kissing.
No, I totally agree.
Right, and it's like
way more insidious than the other.
And so I can pause it
with my older kids. I can even. This is something, if this is all it ends up being, with my older kids, like they're at the point where I wouldn't even fast forward it. I would just point out the stupidity.
Yeah. And like we do that already.
I mean, just fast forward it, but
yeah. Because even like with with our older two, well, actually our older three, they're all at the age of kind of understanding that. It'd be like, okay, this is a moment of, like Nate plays, like spot the lie with your
Yes.
kid. So it's like, I'm not uncomfortable with them seeing that, because it's like, okay, but I have to address it. It's one thing to let them see it, but it's a whole other thing. Like, no, you're going to know, and I'm going to tell you.
Either skip it,
Yes,
or
that's right. You can't just let it go.
address it. Yeah.
And that's right. And so I think that's one of our motivations in even just doing Reforming Nerddom is to, for us to be discerning about what we watch and consume, but then also equip our kids, because I don't want to put them in such a bubble that the idea of two women being together is just completely foreign to them. Like, they need to know that that is a real thing, a real problem, a real sin, and you are going to see it, kids. And like, we have two neighbors
in a galaxy far, far away, apparently.
That's right. And like, we have two men who live a couple houses from us. We've had them in our home, and it led to conversations with the kids where it's like, are they just friends? It's like, no, they're more than friends. And like, but do we hate them? No. Do we still like show kindness to them? Yes. Like, we still had them in our house for a meal. They were, they're nice men and very friendly. And but we told our kids, like, no, like, God's not pleased with that. But then it also is another opportunity to remind them that, well, guess what? God's not happy if a man and a woman are living together and they're not even married. Like, so it's like, yes, there's various degrees of sin, but there is, like, we call out sin where it is. So even in a movie where two people, if they've seen on like a Hallmark movie, two people kissing, it's like, even that is for us an opportunity to tell the kids, it's like, well, girls, like, they're probably not husband and wife, so it's actually not okay. And so we just look at any of these things as an opportunity. And so yeah, I think that's the caution, is like, don't just run away from it, but like, let's talk about it. And I think this is an appropriate way of doing it. But if those women started kissing, it's like, hard pass.
Yeah, that's it.
Hard
As
pass.
long as this is all it is, right? Because it could get to the point where it is too far. Yeah. All right. So I actually have a listener question.
Okay.
We should get to before I have just my own questions I want to ask, but I bring this one up right now because it kind of flows from what we were just talking about. But he asks, are the showrunners trying to imply that the lesbian moms, quote unquote, built a child? He says, I'm unsure what to call KB and if she is an android. But there are some weird implications since she's hooked up to technology and happens to be the child of two mothers who have monitors on her, right? Because they say that like, we've lost her signal on her life monitor or whatever. He says, I only know of Lobot from Empire Strikes Back, right? You remember Lando's right-hand man dude there on Cloud City?
Yeah.
Being the same kind of humanoid tech person. And I'm unsure if he has complete control of himself as a sentient human being. I find the topic fascinating, especially when considering our current secular culture and the progression of Neuralink. Is that something God would consider an infringement on his image, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? There's just, just explaining that that's a bit of a yellow flag for him. So I actually had not considered that possibility at all, at least in terms of like her being an artificial being.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I did just kind of assume that this was a girl who had some, tech modifications. Not that she was like an android. I mean, I could be wrong, right? She does, like, KB was kind of like the star of this episode, actually, on the kids, right? She was sort of a dud, I think, in episodes of the four kids. She was the biggest dud in episodes 1 and 2. And then here, episode 3, she kind of shined. And she did show some, like, right. So it's either she's this android or just like those modifications. She's able to like compute these, she's like, I did the calculations and, figured out the probability, blah, 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 so I don't know. Well, like,
I think the thing that kind of came to mind for me with a character like her, who it was almost like, is this meant to be a character who's kind of on the spectrum in some way as well? Like autistic, like that brilliant kind of thing? Like if that was
like it's savant kind of thing.
Yeah. Like just, I mean, I know in a lot of movies they're trying to bring in that like representation of all kinds of people with disabilities and whatnot. But yeah, I hadn't even for a moment considered Android. But I mean, we know that like Clone Wars, like they can make people. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you're not an acolyte, if you're not one of the space witches who uses the Force to make a child, like, is that something else that is being used? I don't know. I don't know if there's precedent for. I mean, the whole like lesbian thing is just entirely foreign to the history of Star Wars.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
We're
like
making it up as we go at this
So I
point.
mean, if that is a thing, it's something that they're probably going to have to introduce as a means of having a kid with two women.
I can't see that being within the scope of the storytelling of this show. I just don't. I don't imagine they've got the time to flesh that out
No, I agree.
in 8 episodes. So I certainly hope not.
Yeah.
But
That would have to be
Well,
quite
you
the
never-
pivot from a Goonies space adventure trying to get home to all of a sudden do an analysis of how two lesbians in Star Wars can
create
breed a child. Like, I don't know if there's anything more than that. I think it's just honestly just
I think I do. I like the comparison. I do think it's just kind of like a Lobot style. Like it's a humanoid, an actual flesh and bones humanoid, but with some like neural technological implants or something that other people, right? Because Lando was able to like press the little buttons on his watch, and it's like it sounds so silly them thinking that that was such crazy futuristic technology, but I mean, he's basically like paging him on his watch.
yeah. But I mean, like,
Signals to his brain, but
I could see them bringing some story to like, why is it that she has that and the other kids don't? Because like that is interesting. That's like, yeah, why does she have her
yeah,
her actual like tech visor thing that she has? And like, are we just to assume that, oh well, some people do? I again, maybe there's canon to explain that as to like why that, like, where's she from? Are there people on a planet that, did they adopt her from this people on a planet out there? Like, I don't know the depth of Star Wars lore enough. But like maybe that's a thing and they just adopted her from that, from wherever that planet she might be from. But yeah, I hadn't really got.
get tricky with how just Atten works and the fact that they have no connection to the rest of the galaxy and stuff. So anyway, that was one of the other main big talking points is like, okay, so episodes 1 and 2, when they kept talking about using the terms like Republic and Old Republic, and what was your initial thought on, right? Because obviously at some point in the timeline, Atten like got stuck, right? And had stopped having connection with the outside world. So like, what was your view of when they used the term Old Republic? Was that just like talking about the Republic and they said old as in it's not the new Republic? Or were they referencing like the Old Republic as in like the legends of the old,
like Knights of the Old Republic?
thousands of years ago, Old Republic? Because my initial thought in episodes 1 and 2, I was under the assumption that it was just referencing.
That's what I would have thought.
Just using the word old.
Yeah.
Like
The Empire.
New Republic.
Like the
just right before the Empire. Yeah.
I think honestly, I wonder if there might be something to that where it's like, no, like, and they're intentionally saying Old Republic to harken back to that time. Cause like, it was like a millennia ago, right?
So that's what episode 1 and 2, I thought just pre-Empire Republic. Episode 3 with all the like star maps and the symbols. And I don't know, did you notice the like mural in, Fern? Is it Fern? Is that the girl's name? Anyway,
Fern. Yeah.
So it's in her house that the parents are having that discussion, and the big mural in the house.
I didn't notice that.
You'll have to look it up. It's like, it looks like it's the like the origins of Atten. There's like this goddess woman, and there's like a couple human beings, and then there's an elephant guy like Neil, and an Ithorian, like the hammerhead alien. And yeah, I don't know, it just has that like really, really old, like some of the like really like Jedi symbology, and like I don't know, so it just makes me feel like maybe this is actually
I think that makes actually
old Republic.
well. I think that kind of fits with the idea right now of it being very like AT-AT being mythological, which comes with
At this point, the Empire.
like yeah, it's not that. I mean, no, that's right. Yeah, it's not far off. But I mean, again, I don't know the timeline, but I think like Old Republic is
It's like thousands of
years. So
Yeah.
that becomes mythology.
legend. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Just like, oh yeah, I heard like my grandpa heard,
well, yeah.
was
So
at and yeah.
I had not. Well, because you'd think though, like that is interesting, because like my mind immediately would have been the same thing, where it's like the Empire, we're now living in like the new order of things. But why would it be called the Old Republic? Because like it was the Empire. At least that's how I would have
Well, like,
understood.
so the Republic exists, right? It was just called the Republic,
Right.
right? And that's when, right? If you remember in A New Hope, when they're like, "How are we going to get the Senate on our side?"
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, and he's like, "Oh, you don't need to worry about the Senate. We've taken care of them." And that's when they blow up Alderaan, and they annihilate finally the Republic.
Yeah.
Um, and then in the sequel trilogy, you have the New Republic.
Yeah.
And so I assumed initially that it was just like, oh, when they're saying the Old Republic, they're just saying,
Yeah.
just wanting to make sure they know we're not talking about the New Republic. But I'm like, because as far as I know, I don't think live action Star Wars
No.
has ever referenced the actual Old Republic, like
Which
legend.
seems like it could be like this could potentially be teeing that.
So this could be something unique, like some
Yeah.
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 Anyway, I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Mhm.
My other big question is Jod. Okay, so Jod, Captain Silvo, Crimson Jack. Do we trust him or no? Like, is he a good guy, or like is he just like out for Jod and he happens to have the kids with him, or is he like actually sinister, or is he actually like really good? You know what I mean? Is he just kind of like good, neutral, evil? Like, what's your
I don't like my mind immediately right now goes to just like Jack Sparrow in space. He's just, I mean, he's out for himself. He wants the score, he wants the riches, he wants the legacy of a pirate. So like as of right now, I don't know if I don't know if we know enough of him to really get a sense of if he has any motives other than just the score. I mean, he said explicitly that I got the greatest score. But again, like, are we like has he mentioned the wealth of Ad-Aden? Like, I can't even remember. Is that what is he absolutely referring to like the treasure of Ad-Aden when he even says that?
I don't think he's specifically said, but I mean, like, he has talked about, he's like inferenced it when he's like talking to Kim.
Yeah.
And he's like, these kids are from Ad-Aten,
Yeah.
right? Like, so
Right.
everybody knows about it. Like, you just say the word Ad-Aten and it basically is synonymous with treasure.
Yeah. So as of right now, I don't know. I'd be curious your thoughts, because yeah, I don't know if I picked up on anything to give any motives beyond the score, because like it introduced him before where the pirate ship they were trying to capture the money, or
I pretty much agree. I think you hit it. I think that was a really good comparison, just like Jack Sparrow in space, where it's like he's on the team of the good guys, but he's not himself a good guy. Like, he's really just kind of a selfish character.
I'm anticipating there's going to be some story arc there where he has to choose between the kids and doing the right thing.
I think the whole thing, the whole thing ends up with, is he going to remain selfish, or is he going to save the kids and do the right thing? Like, I totally agree. Jedi or no? Or I shouldn't say Jedi or no. He basically tells us he's not a Jedi, but Force user or no?
Yeah.
Is it all just a sham? Is it all just like mirrors and smoke? Or
Well, I thought it was interesting how Fern described all the different ways that he could, and so it's like, the fact that they're bringing that up of like the potential ways that he
5
could be.
in-universe ways that could have just been.
It's like, okay, so interesting that he did that, and like he doesn't seem to. Aside from the key, it's like, has he done any? Well, no, you know what? He did manipulate when they were walking through the halls, and he did some. What did he do? Did he make something bang, or he made them?
But did he?
But that's
So he just bang.
so he's done a couple things that are things that Jedi can do, or at least people who have some ability of using the Force. As of right now, like I still like the story. I'd like it to be that he's a con man.
Me
and
too.
that he's just,
and
like, I think that's more fun.
from the beginning, and I think that would be fun. My only, I wanted to go back and I haven't yet and watch the end of episode 2 when he reveals himself to be a Jedi. I can't remember if the kids talk about Jedis in the cell. Because otherwise, if they don't, I don't know why he would like pick up on pretending to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what reason he would have to know I should pretend to be a Jedi to get in the, like, to trick these kids. So if they do talk about it, I'm going to go back and watch it. Then I'll be like even more firm in I think he's just a con man.
Yeah.
Otherwise that might sway my opinion.
For some reason, I want to say that Wim said like he's a Jedi, and like
No, I mean before he like reveals himself in the shadows.
oh, I see.
Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Because they do talk about Atten, right? And that's where I'm like, okay, so he hears them talk about Atten. That's why he even bothers revealing himself in the first place. And then do they talk about do they talk about Jedi in any way for him to be like, okay, here's how I'm gonna like get them on my side? So,
One thing that I'm really curious, and again, like the mystery of it all, was even the kids realize, like, as the great work, and how that like a thing that keeps coming up, and then they even the supervisor, I think, is like
Fern's Muffer. Oh no, like
no, because
like above Fern.
yeah, so it's just like all it said was
So, like, who is
the supervisor.
I still think she's in on it though. Like when she says, "Oh, I'll put a like a complaint or a message into the supervisor right away."
Yeah,
Like, yeah, sure. I don't know.
and it then makes me think, like, is that an actual person, or is that just like some made up thing that is used to control people?
It's the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
Yeah.
But how the kids, even at one point when they were talking about their parents and they were talking about their jobs, and they were like, wait, what do my parents, like, what do they do? And like all of them. So then it is just
pushing.
of what? It's just like they have these pure bureaucratic jobs that don't actually like talk about the truest form of government employment right there, right? Or like depiction of it, where it's like they don't actually know what they do. And so that's where it's like, okay, what is actually going on? So then it's, like, why have they, it just brings up the question of like, why are they hidden? Who's hiding them? Was it like an intentional thing?
Yeah.
And like what's going on, and what's behind all that? So that got like,
that is the big, right? You said like,
Yeah.
that's the big question that they've done a good job of like running through all 3 episodes so far.
Yeah.
Big question, the big story, like what is Atten? What's the mystery? What's the great work? What time period is that planet stuck in, and why?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff, which creates for, great speculation.
Yeah.
A couple really, really quick, so we don't keep people too long. They talk about putting a bounty on their heads after they leave, what's it called? Port Borgo?
Borgo. Yep.
Do you think we're going to see anybody that we've seen before? Right? Like Boba Fett coming? Is Fennec Shand coming? Are we going to see IG-88 or Bosk or like a known bounty hunter?
I would put it past, I mean, I think if part of what they're wanting to do is reclaim some of the lost audience, I think playing on nostalgia and doing a cameo, that's like such a current age Disney thing, is to have a cameo in there. So I think we're gonna.
I don't think it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
I hope it's not Boba or Fennec or someone like that. I hope it's an actual like bad bounty hunter. Like they've kind of made those guys good guys now, basically. So I hope it's someone that's actually threatening.
Yep.
And I just wanted to point it out. I got big time Maz Kanata vibes from that little owl lady.
Yes. Yeah. I actually
had to like double check and look at the voice actor. I was like,
yeah,
Maz Kanata. Like,
well, I wondered for a second if it was going to be her.
I did too. And then it just reinforced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I thought the same thing. Like before I saw the character, I was like, oh, interesting, and it ended up being different. So
yeah. So a couple quick Easter eggs. So you brought up Crimson Jack. I don't imagine, I think it's just a reference and it has nothing to do with because there is a Star Wars Legends character called Crimson Jack.
Okay.
He was a really, really old, early Star Wars comic book character. And he was like, he was a space pirate who, was like a rival to Han Solo. And
Okay.
even so, right, episode 4 ends and Han gets his reward for destroying the Death Star, right? And he's
Yep.
like, okay, now I got to go pay back Jabba the Hutt. In the comic, Crimson Jack actually steals that reward from
Okay.
Han and Chewie. And then so it creates this like rivalry between the two of them.
Okay.
And at one point he kidnaps Han and Leia and they convince him to basically go to this unknown star system and like unknown to him, that's actually where Luke Skywalker is hiding and he helps them escape. And so anyway, my assumption is that it's just like a deep cut reference
Okay.
to this
Yeah.
Legends character. I don't imagine that they're actually insinuating that he is this character, Crimson Jack, but
Okay.
it
That should be
it
fun.
came
Yeah.
from nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And then the other one, when he's stealing Smee from the droid whatever repair room, that green-headed guy who's in the original Mos Eisley Cantina, like his species, when he was talking, I was like, I totally recognized his voice and I couldn't figure out what it was from, so I had to look it up. But it's Alfred Molina, who's Doc Ock
Oh yeah.
from the Tobey Maguire split.
No way.
Yeah.
Huh.
That was my other little Easter
Huh.
egg that I picked
Yeah.
out.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. So as we wrap up here, you're gonna watch episode 4.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Still-
No, they
Still in.
got me. Yeah. No, I don't have any issues with it. Again, with the two mom things. If they push that, then that might change. But as of right now, that doesn't bother me enough to throw away, I think, what the good that they're doing. Like, I think it's worth continuing. So yeah, no, I'll be back next week. Yep.
Beautiful. All right. So until next time, hopefully again, same. So we'll try and get this out day after show drops. Like I say, if we mentioned last time, some of these dates in and around Christmas and New Year's and stuff might be a little bit tricky, but we are going to get them as soon as possible. So until next time, may the Force be with you.